8 p.m. on our Monday evening. I am 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins, WTSP in Tampa, Florida. Right in the middle, we have Ross Mumma. He's from WTLV in Jacksonville, Florida. And then South Carolina, we've got Efren Afante from Columbia. Efren, WLTV. Guys, we've got a good-looking tropical storm out there, and this could be our first hurricane of the season.
And it's only August.
Probably will be, right?
It's only August.
Yeah, I think August 11th is the average first hurricane of the season, which is actually today. So it will be a couple days late. But yeah, Ross, like you said, it's forecast to be, in fact, it's already forecast to be a Category 3 major hurricane, too. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tropical storm right now. But yeah, certainly it looks to be a big storm here by the end of the week and into the weekend. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so we'll start with the big Atlantic basin look at it, okay? There are actually several waves to watch, but none of them that we need to worry about. And Erin's the only major one. So you can see right now we've got this X that's over in the Gulf of Mexico. That is the tropical wave that has moved across Florida over the last several days, okay? That's this one right here. That's what brought all the rain to the peninsula, especially in the Tampa area over the weekend and last night. But a 0% chance for development, nothing there. There's a wave in the far north Atlantic. I mean, look at that. That thing is well north of Bermuda, too. 10% chance of development. We don't care about that one. There's another one that's east of that. 10% chance. We really don't care about that one. Guys, let's talk about Tropical Storm Erin. At this point, it's over 3,000 miles off the east coast of Florida, right? It's way out there. Went through the Cape Verde Islands yesterday and the night before. And it's a small storm, but it has 45-mile-per-hour winds. And it's kind of over some cooler water. It started out really nice. It was over warmer water, started out rotating really quickly, pretty good structure. And then today it didn't look as good. And now as we transition to nighttime in the eastern Atlantic, it's starting to flare up. And that is a sign of what tropical systems do.
Just look at the way that structure is. You know, the interesting thing is that, you know, about 12 hours ago, about 8 o'clock this morning, it looked like it was starting to, not really so much shred, but starting to fall apart. And all of a sudden, now it's starting to blossom into an actual tropical storm. A lot of convection, but Bobby, like you said, it's really compact.
Yeah, it is. It's small right now. Ross, we were talking earlier, there's a little bit of dry air on the north side. It's actually some of that Saharan dust.
Yeah, I mean, that can often, inhibit some of these storms from developing further or, more quickly. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here right now a little bit. I think that's limited some of the convection, at least on the northerly or northwesterly side, thanks to some of that Saharan air and drier air in place. So somewhat limited it. You heard Efren say how compact it is. But over the next couple of days, it looks like that drier air is going to erode. And even a little bit of the wind shear that is in place there as well also looks to probably begin to weaken. So as it continues to move further and further westward, right, we're expecting this thing to move into more conducive or more favorable, conditions or environments for this storm to continue to ramp up a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like it. Plus, I didn't even want to mention it, but you see that other wave's coming off of Africa right behind it. We'll keep our eye on that one. Let's go out to the forecast. Hurricane Center gave the latest update at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. we get our track updates, and we've got the latest one here. That also comes with the intensity, and that's the one that says that by Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night, we have the first hurricane of the season with winds of about 75 miles per hour. They're going Thursday morning, 2 a.m., 80-mile-per-hour winds, right? But notice it really starts to ramp up. Thursday afternoon, 90-mile-per-hour winds. Friday afternoon, 110. 111 and higher is a major hurricane, Category 3 or higher. And you can see by Saturday afternoon, northeast of Puerto Rico, and pretty far northeast, which is good news, it has 115-mile-per-hour winds. At least that's the forecast right now. So let's take a look at those tropical forecast models. Guys, this is what everybody wants to know, right? Always looking for that spaghetti plot.
You know, the interesting thing about it, every time we look at a spaghetti plot, it's like, okay, so when is it really going to head towards Florida? When is it going to start heading towards the southeast Atlantic? And, we're talking about a 5-day track from the National Hurricane Center that doesn't even have it close to the Greater Antilles. It's on the far northeastern fringe of the Caribbean islands. So that's 5 days. 7-day plots put it bending more towards the northwest, as opposed to some of the tracks that were earlier and closer towards Puerto Rico are more towards the west-northwest. So there's a lot of deviation from that point. And the telltale sign of what the weather's going to be like from the Key West, Florida, all the way up to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, is where is that Bermuda high?
Yeah.
That wonderful high that drives our weather crazy from the Gulf to the Southeast Atlantic. This model is indicating that that Bermuda high may be shifting more towards the north or even towards the east to get out of the way of Erin. That's going to be a very interesting focal point come the weekend of, is that Bermuda high going to steer Erin more towards a straight westerly, or this spaghetti model is indicating it more of a northwesterly? If this is actually going to come to fruition by the weekend, we're looking at more towards Bermuda as opposed to Florida and Georgia.
Right, so we're showing now the steering flow that goes through the rest of this week. Can we go back out to the steering flow, guys? That is the high pressure, this big red area that you see right here. Storms aren't going into that, okay? They're going to go around it, and you can see what it's done. It's going under this area, right? It needs a hole to get up through here, and there's nothing there right now. That's through Thursday. But watch as we get towards next weekend. This is Saturday afternoon, and look what happens. This trough comes here. This helps to pull on it, pull it to the north, and then there's just enough weakness in the ridge getting down here to kind of break it in half. So you end up with one high pressure here, another one over the eastern half of the United States, and I've been drawing a door here because like this literally opens the door for this to recurve and come out. That is the hope right now for just about everybody except for Bermuda, which is right there, because they're going to have to watch this one very closely. The forecast models, we showed you the spaghetti, but this is a look right now at the combination of the GFS and the European model. And you can see right now they're in pretty good agreement when it's northeast of Puerto Rico, right? That would be this Saturday afternoon and evening. Now, as we get towards Tuesday of next week, okay, so this is a week and a day, it's east of the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, but not by much. The GFS is a little bit further west than the European, and the GFS, by the way, has been flip-flopping, guys. It was close to Bermuda, and now you can see by the time we get out towards about Thursday into Friday, there it is. Bermuda, by the way, is right about there, and so it's right kind of in between now. This is the best case scenario, but this is a week and a half out. So will this change? Yeah, it probably will. Hopefully it doesn't change much, because that would avoid most of it for Bermuda. It would avoid the east coast of the United States. But we know better, guys, that these tracks aren't set in stone.
You know, Ross, you were talking
and
about
I think
how,
that's probably the key
let's just say both
messaging
of
to
them
people,
go.
right? Even,
Go ahead, Ross.
No, go ahead.
Ross is on a delay.
I was going to say, if we had a positive track like we do right here, right, where more than likely it's not going to hit us, we're telling folks, take it easy a little bit. There's still a lot that can change between now and then. But similarly, if it was a negative track and models were showing this making landfall in Florida or Georgia or South Carolina, we'd probably be saying the exact same thing, right? It's still 8, 9, 10 days away from making any sort of potential landfall or land impacts here to the United States. So, of course, it's got a large area of land, or I guess ocean, so to speak, to traverse, and a lot of time as well. So between space and time, there's a lot of different factors and variables that go into that. Mm-hmm. Of course, the models can change and flip on a dime, just within a 6-hour run, or within a couple days, a lot can change. So
those models
looking
run
good
like
now, right? But let's just, I think, pump the brakes.
They run every 6 hours, and so you can get the flip-flop. That's what the GFS has been doing. It's been one side to the other, left, right, left, right. It's like playing military golf, right? Left, right, left, right. God, at least that's my golf. So, guys, now let's talk about that heat content. So you guys were talking about this. It's kind of cooler water that it's over right now.
And just think of how much more it's going to not only intensify as far as the winds, but the profile of, at this point, where it starts transitioning from a tropical storm to a hurricane. Well, anybody who's been out off the beaches of Newport Richey or Jacksonville Beach know that the water is ridiculously warm. And when you go out to Myrtle Beach and Folly Beach, well, the water's way too warm, even though it's summertime. But these water temperatures are pushing 86, 87, 88 degrees, which is incredibly warm. Well, by the time you're at Category 3, out in the northeastern central portion of the Caribbean, now you're talking about water temperatures that are pushing over 86, and it just gets even warmer as you head towards the Bahamian Islands, and then eventually getting into whether it's the Straits by the
Florida
Keys,
Straits, yep,
or the Straits, and it's just like 89-degree water temperatures. That's more than enough fuel.
Yeah, well, you know, and so this is, I kind of highlighted here on the map the area. So it's over cooler water now. So it's gonna struggle. It looks like it will hold together, okay? But once it gets to that really 85, 86 degree water, that's when it starts going to really intensify. That's when we'll get our hurricane strength, and that's when it'll probably end up getting into the Category 3. But that's down here. That's this 85, 86 degree water. Look where the track is. Generally, or at least the forecast models are taking it up here, and I kind of circled all of this water. This is even warmer water, right? So it depends on how much shear is on this, which I don't think you're going to see a ton of shear, but whenever it's turning, sometimes you do get a little bit of shear on it. But this thing has the possibility to go even higher than a Cat 3, especially when it gets to this warmer water. What Efron's talking about is, you know, literally what the atmosphere is doing is it's taking the heat that is developed along the equator and it's moving it further to the north. That's why we even have hurricane season. All the heat's building up. Mother Nature's just trying to spread it out a little bit to the north to do it. The water works the same. The water comes up and out, goes around the loop current, out of the Caribbean, and then through the Florida Straits. And then that literally is the Gulf Stream. All right, goes right up the East Coast, all the way up there. So you have all of that warm water parked there year-round, really. But you can see how it's bled out into here. We've got all this warm water right into there, and this thing has to still curve up to go over top of that. So we're thinking now it's a smaller storm. It's holding its own. It's doing pretty good. But I would imagine, guys, that this thing just becomes a bigger system altogether once it gets over that warmer water.
5 days.
I certainly don't disagree.
You only have a 5-day track right now.
And I think even locally for us next week, it's probably more of a surf and rip current risk if the current tracks hold firm, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's show the wave heights there. We got about 2 minutes left. This is the GFS model, Ross. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I got to turn my head here a little bit to see your graphic because my screen's turned the other way. But yeah, by the weekend or the end of this week into the weekend, wave heights starting to increase for the northeastern side of the Greater Antilles. So you're talking about Puerto Rico and the eastern side of the Bahamas. But then as you transition into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, beaches from Daytona Beach up through Jacksonville Beach, Savannah, all the way up to Myrtle Beach, like Efron said. We could be seeing some wave heights increasing and, of course, some high rip current risk as well. Now, I know a lot of the kiddos have already gone back to school, but it still feels like summertime, so we're certainly still going to have plenty of beach goers out there, and I think it will be a pretty big concern for a lot of folks who are still trying to sneak in, some last days out on the beach to soak up some sun, even though the ocean and the water itself might be pretty dangerous out there.
Yeah, I know. I talked to some friends in North Carolina. Those kids go back on the 25th of August. And I think it's something similar up in the Northeast because there's going to be swell all the way up through Long Island by the time we get towards the end of this upcoming weekend. It's really when it gets started and all of next week. So it's not this week we're in right now, but mainly this is an issue for next week. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We will be doing this actually every night this week at 8 o'clock live on our streaming apps that you're watching right now. So we'll keep you updated. And you know what? I like to kind of show the same thing, at least something similar night after night so that the folks at home can see the changes in the forecast models.
And we're going to need to see all those changes because everybody from Tampa to Jacksonville to Columbia is going to know where's Erin going next.
Yeah. And we'll keep you updated, guys. Check out our Facebook pages,
Absolutely.
our websites. We'll see you right here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.